topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
To Triversity Talk. I'm Wendy Stewart Kaplan, and my co-host tonight,
Simone Krause. How's everyone doing?
Well, we've all recovered from the Thanksgiving onslaught. I think, Simone. It took a few days, you know.
Well, Mary likes to make turkey soup, so we've been still eating that.
So you're still on that trip. Well, I call it the tryptophan coma.
Yes.
But you had a really good Thanksgiving, yes?
Excellent. Had a very good Thanksgiving, yes.
And I of course celebrated Thanksgiving for 3 days this year because I tend to celebrate everything for a lot of days. And why do we do that? Because you know what? We have to make our world as happy and as good as we possibly can. And Thanksgiving, or what I now call Friendsgiving, because a whole other topic is what it represents for First Americans, right? So I call it Friendsgiving now, but it really is a time to get together with your friends and, say thank you, have people around the table. And it's all those warm feelings that happen every year. So I have something I'm very excited about. We all know there's the news. Let's just talk about the news. It's just one thing after the next, right? But we have to grasp those little glimmers of wonderfulness that come through. And as many of you know, today the Senate passed the same-sex marriage protection bill. That's absolutely huge. Really great news, Simone. Amazing.
Oh, it's great. It's good across the country. I mean, it's not as, locked in as I would have liked it, but I mean, it's a great start. Right. You have your foot is in the door.
Right. Which is absolutely what it's all about. Now you've had, before we even bring our guests on, I want to talk a little about, you have done something really cool lately. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I was in one of the scenes for the season finale of We're Here.
Yay.
And it was phenomenal. Meeting the two queens and their two drag children and really getting to see the whole production and the interaction of the crew. And it was absolutely wonderful. And especially seeing the drag mothers and the drag child. And I was so blessed to see one where Eureka had her drag child just before we started filming, and she's tapping her fingers right on their chest, scolding them to practice more. And it was great. I could feel that motherly, maternal. It was.
Now, how old are their drag children?
Well, the drag children, I think about in their 40s.
Yeah,
one was 40 and one was in their mid 20s.
Right. So, they still have to take their lessons from their drag mothers. I guess, it takes an expert to show you how to do a perfect death drop. Absolutely. We have somebody that we love and adore, Kay Gorgeous, who is phenomenal, very funny performer, but she also did all kinds of sports when she was in high school because they say, girl, how did you get that death drop? So good. Let's face it, Simone, if you or I were to do that, it would be a disaster.
You have to genetically be born to do that.
Wait, you think it's genetic, right? That it's
genetics. Yeah, all the stretching in the world was not going to do a death drop for Simone. Ever.
Exactly. Well, for me, it would be 2 knee transplants. That's a good question. I wonder if people can do a death drop if they've had a knee transplant. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for answers to that and more on Triversity Talk. Well, I'm very excited about the guests that we have tonight because, in a way, they are a repeat guest. We contacted this person Simone had met. They're out of Colorado, and they were. I think it was it was months ago, right? We
Yes.
wanted to have them on. They're major activists, very interesting, and they were delightful for the first 3 minutes of words that we got. But then live streaming being streaming, they happened to be in an area that they couldn't be heard from. And this happens with, you all are thinking everything's streaming. Trust me, there's so many things that can go amok with Wi-Fi and audio. So I am so happy to have this person back. I have to get the name correct, so just bear with me. Javier Francisco Saenz. Yeah, Simone, did I say the last name correct? You think so?
He'll probably correct you.
He'll correct me, and I'm sure I'm going to make correction because I do butcher names. So Javi Francisco Saenz hails from Colorado, major activist, has really dedicated his life to making things better in the LGBTQ plus community, and has even won the Cesar Chavez Award for exceptional people. But you know what? I could go on and on. Enough about that. Let's bring on our incredible guest tonight. Welcome, Javier Francisco Saenz. Okay. Now, how do I say the last name?
Signs, like a stop sign.
I wish you had told me that. Okay. Man, I'm God. I'm writing
I'm so used to that.
Are you people there? Please don't let me think I'm the only person that butchers names in the world.
No, a lot of people in the community know me by Van Dyke anyway. That's my drag name.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? That would have been so much easier for me. I wish you could have given me that. All right, but you know what? Tonight you're Javi, and it's all good in the world. First of all, thank you for being here with us. You know what I say, the best people in life are worth waiting for, and a warm welcome from Triversity Talk. So you are hailing to us from Colorado.
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Welcome to anyone who's watching from Colorado here tonight. How has your life been going lately? Colorado, of course, as you know, was recently in the news. You are not near Colorado Springs.
We are about 4 or 5 hours away.
Okay.
It is Club Q is a place that a lot of us have performed at. My drag kids have performed there. They call that home too. They are friends of ours and chosen family. So
how are people dealing with this? Because like everything else, it was heavy in the news and it has now fallen off. I actually I was counting the days to see when like all the stuff got smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
And it's unbelievable. How is your community dealing with this?
Well, all kinds of ways. I mean, we are gathering. Delta Pride just had their vigil on Sunday, and that was incredible. We actually stood on the streets, and of course, this is a predominantly conservative area,
right?
And we're targeted on a regular basis. So we all, lined the streets with a candle, and it was a beautiful moment for us to have that. And I remember saying to them that the amount of fear and power I felt at the same time was just incredible. But my community stood by me side by side, and we showed our county that, we're here. We're not going anywhere, and you can try to bully us, but, I encourage more people to come out and be allies and
yes,
and just be human.
Thank you there's two things that you said. Okay. First, I want to talk about allies. I would like to thank all the allies, especially Triversity. We're having our beautiful winter gala, and so many of the tickets sold for December 3rd have been bought by our allies. And I think more people need to understand that we are all on the same page and all need to come together now more than ever. When you hear about what happened at Club Q, and there's incidents happening all over. I'm not even going to get into Florida right now, but we have to, as a community, recognize each other and where the support is. And I think the person that took down the gunman was an ally. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
And a veteran.
Yes.
And there
and
you
Hispanic.
go. Right. And Hispanic. So
Yeah.
that was, you know what, that was a big mind opener for many people. For me in particular, what the words that really stick out in my mind, and Simone, I think it was your wife, Mary, that ran the article. Mary does all the aggregating of our articles for Triversity's page, and she really puts out all the cutting edge stuff. This one, I think, was in LGBTQ Nation. And the phrase that sticks out in my head is, he ran towards the gunman, not away from.
Yes.
And that is something I think we all have to keep in mind. Not that anyone, like if you see someone with a gun, it's not up to you to run towards them, but we all need to be vigilant and do our own form of that. Hiding in fear is not going to help.
That's right.
You know, and I think that was, I mean, that was an amazing human being that did that. You also mentioned, I'm pulling this from what you just said, we're here, that we're here. And what a coincidence, because that's one of the things I want to talk to Simone about tonight. I want to talk to both of you tonight. So Simone, I'm going to let you take it away. Tell us a little bit about We're Here, and then Javier will talk about his role in it as well.
Well, We're Here. It's a show on HBO Max, and if you have not seen it, you are missing out on probably one of the greatest shows on TV today. It's about 3 drag queens that go to smaller towns and communities throughout the country in different states to empower people, to empower some of the people that either a personal journey of their own that they're expanding on, or to discover something about themselves. And the empowerment that they bring. And I got to witness this firsthand. And I am a changed woman after spending time with them and seeing what they do. It was mind blowing. And you gotta see it. I was blessed to have a very small scene in there,
That's
but
great.
It changed my life.
So you will definitely say that it affected what you know about drag now.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, the empowerment that they did for everyone. I mean, it's one thing to see it on TV, because I know that, in fact, it was the episode that Javi was in, and it was Dustin. Taylor. And at the very end, he was talking to this young child on the other side of the fence, and you could see the empowerment and the glow that this child now saw their community, that one existed.
How great.
And that child will carry that power with them. And yeah, it's life-changing.
How old was the child, Simone?
I would say probably 11 or 12, but
Right.
the look on their face and the glow, and it just, you know,
And
it's
the
like,
beauty of it.
this is why people are here.
Well, of course, this is a very important message, right? Because we get these messages about now drag story hours are being attacked, right? We hear these semantics like grooming, all right? And it's, first of all, untrue. Second of all, you just highlighted such something so positive that comes from drag, which is absolutely beautiful. Can you tell us the name? Now, you mentioned the drag queens that are on the show. Who are they? I'd like to talk about their names.
Well, you have Shangela, who was just on Dancing with the Stars.
Right.
You have Eureka, who has now come out as transgender, and she told me about her story. It was just so touching. And you could see that there's now an inner glow when she was talking. It was,
Oh, I love it.
oh, I was at the table and she was talking, and I could just see her glowing. And then there's Bob the drag queen, who I love.
Okay.
I was a constructor for 40 years, and Bob has the personality He could have been a union pipe fitter.
No, okay. I first met Bob the drag queen, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago from my friend Sweetie. And it's exactly what you're saying. All right. Like, definitely the personality of a union guy, but the drag persona and funny, so damn funny. And I always speak about drag like that is like what I call bridge drag. It bridges other groups together. And he is hilarious. How incredible that you got to be with these people. So, Javi, what were your first impressions when you got cast in the show? First of all, I'd like your story. How did you get cast?
Well, I received a phone call and several messages saying that they were trying to get a hold of me. And so I did end up getting an email, and we had a conversation, and, we threw some names out there, some people in our community that I think have great stories and, have just beautiful souls. And then, I did my interview, but I mean, honestly, regardless if, there's bad or sadness in my life, I don't feel that way. I'm very positive, and basically, if there's, friends or family members that don't understand by now in my life, they're probably not going to, and why give them that spot on national television? But to talk about first, the child that you were talking about with Taylor, that child is now my drag child.
Oh,
cool.
And they go by the name Blaze.
Oh, wonderful.
And they are now a Grand Valley Shining Star pageant title holder. So they are absolutely amazing. And one thing I would love from We're Here is where are they now?
Oh my God, Javi, so you came up with that? No one else said that. You came up with that?
Just now. I just think it's important to see what happened after. I mean, Angie and I are so close. I mean, she just moved across the street from us, which is awesome. And Dustin, unfortunately,
Angie is on the show. Tell us who Angie is on the show.
Angie's Alonza.
Okay.
She went by Alonza, the motorcycle. That tough one. Yes. So she's starting to do drag now, and we all get introduced a different way. And my Stella Van Dyke, she likes to say sponsored by Femmes Oil when the Alonza comes out.
I love that.
And so, yeah, that's wonderful. Taylor doesn't do as much drag, but he's still very much one of my kids. Still calls me dad, still calls all the time. We're all very close. Dustin unfortunately moved, so he's not around anymore. But just the amount of people that have come together, and I went to Denver for Pride and was in the float, and they're like looking at me like, I know who you are, and I'm like,
so cool.
But talking about the queens and what they did for people is drag for me. I mean, that's what drag's been for me for 20 some years, half my life, 25 years. Okay, more than half my life now. I'm going to be 50. So I've been doing drag since I was 21. But, and that's what I vowed to do when I came out here. And I was pretty much the only one in Delta who came out as LGBTQ. And then I lived my life as a lesbian. But I wanted, somebody to help me understand who I was, because we didn't have the internet. We definitely didn't have religious figures telling us we were okay or school.
And you didn't have RuPaul back then either.
Oh, not even close.
Right.
I mean, the best thing that we had was Mr. Mom on. But I just lived in this tiny little community, and to be able to find these youth and tell them, it's okay. You're going to be all right. Yeah, you're probably like me, but we'll support you. We'll talk to your parents, whatever the case is. Or if it's somebody, like me that came out in their 40s, as I transitioned at 43. But that drag scene has been my thing. And there's, I have family members and friends that are just like, this is all you do. That's all you talk about. But if it's saving lives, then you know what? It's all right.
Oh, I'm totally on point with you. Drag, as you know, has changed drastically. I've been into supporting drag, and I will say this cliche, a lot of my best friends are drag performers. And for me, it's an art form in many ways, you know, because the RuPaul drag, okay, is totally different from people like lip synca. You know, that is definitely drag as an art form. But
Right.
across the board, drag is such a positive thing that brings joy and creativity into people's lives. And so you started doing drag at 21.
Yeah.
You were a lesbian then.
I was lesbian then, yes.
So you were drag king?
Yeah, and I still perform as a drag king.
You do drag
Um,
king,
yeah.
okay.
Around here, we call drag, whatever is your art form. My wife, she's cis woman. She performs as a drag queen. My son, cis
Here,
male,
here.
he performs as a drag king. He has held a national title for 2 years. He is
I love this.
coming out of his shell.
Yeah.
I mean, he's straight boy. Well, when people ask at first, I'm just like, we don't talk about that because he's not having sex. So we don't talk about that part. But he's, a cis male, and he
But
loves
he's
to
a
perform as a male.
performer.
Oh,
He-
yeah.
Right. He's a performer. And I think that's what people need to, instead of objectifying drag, it
Oh,
is
yeah.
a performance.
Yeah, we've got all kinds. I mean, it doesn't matter. Our youngest one was 4 years old,
Right.
And, my wife's been dancing for all of her life. The kids have been dancing all their lives. And it's just
Beautiful.
another way to, express how you're feeling.
Of course.
We had a good show for when, the Supreme Court disappointed women all over the world.
That's well put, right?
Yeah, my wife came out and did a very powerful performance with White Flag. And, it's just a place that we use to either make somebody laugh, make somebody feel good, or
Right.
say, I'm right behind you. And, drag has been there since the beginning of time. And for me, that's how us trans people got to know who we were is, drag.
So you're in a town, right? A small town?
Very small town, yeah.
It's a very small town. What's amazing to me, I know everything you're saying is true, but it's an enigma to me that you can be from a small town and have developed like all this support and have spread all this love within your community. I'm going to ask you what's your secret, because you're not surrounded by a lot of people, and it could be, it can be very isolating, as a lot of people know. So tell me, Javi, what is it? What's the magic?
Get a little teary-eyed about this one.
Okay. I cry on this show all the time. So you're amongst sensitive people.
My family was amazing. I mean, they may not have understood or wanted me to be who I was, but they loved me.
This was your biological family.
Yes.
And they, wow, that's incredible, because a lot of people, as you know, because you've been there, for a lot of people that don't have that. So know this, but to be able to have that is amazing. And so they've been on your path with you the entire time.
For the most part. I mean, my father, he was a Mexican national.
Right.
Unfortunately, both my parents have passed, but that's why I get so emotional.
I'm sorry, of course.
But my father was more of a, we don't talk about it. We just don't talk about it. And for the most part, he always raised me as his son. He raised me differently than he raised my sister. And so, he was very supportive, though. I mean, he loved me. I can't say that he didn't. And my mother, I remember she asked me when I was 17, she goes, "Are you?" I said, "No." And she goes, "Well, can you change?" I said, "No." And that was basically it. And my sister, my amazing sister, Maria, I call her my soul twin. We're about 1.5 years apart, but
love it.
She got pregnant. I got morning sickness. I mean, we had 2 close. But she told my parents, that's your kid. You love him unconditionally. And
wow,
that's it. And that's how my family is. I mean, being from, Mexico, my dad, that's a hard thing. But before he passed, he placed mine and the girl that I was dating's hands together at the time. And I identified as a lesbian then. And he shook his head yes. And that was just his way of saying, I'm okay. Yeah.
Right. It's okay. I also, the component of being Latino, it's very hard coming from that culture, harder than some other cultures, because it's a machismo kind of thing. And what a blessing, that they both got behind you. Now, your sister, of course, is a part of your life now. I'm sure cheering you on the
Always.
time. How many kids do you have?
I have no biological children, but together my wife and I have 8, and then we have 1,000 other kids.
You have 8 that live with you.
Right now we have 2 and we have another live-in kid with us, but we have 2 of my wife's youngest children that live with us right now. The other ones have all grown up and moved out.
Wait, they moved. Oh my God, they moved. I have one I can't get out of here. Okay, I'm asking you what your secrets are for everything.
I don't know. I want them to come home. I miss them. I'm like, please. And we've got so many grandbabies, and it's a beautiful world. I mean, I miss my family very much because they're moving to Texas and whatnot, but we've got a great support system. Both my sisters live here and my brother, and
which is wonderful.
Yeah. My mom, when we had Pride, she was always in that float with us, and she was everybody's mama.
Wow. Right. But you know what? When you talk about her as you are tonight, you're bringing up her name and you're bringing up her spirit, which is great. And bless you that you had that. A lot of people don't. And Lord knows, and Simone will back me up on this. We've had people on the show that, transitioning can be a very isolating experience, especially, my God, later in life. And now happening so much. So both of you have something in common. You're both involved with churches. All right. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what church does for you. I'll start with you, Simone.
Well, for church, for me, I don't know if it's religious or more spiritual.
Spiritual,
the church actually hired the pastor and her wife, lesbian couple, which really is really good. It makes me feel comfortable there, that I won't be judged. You can still see people that kind of give you the eye, like, really, do you have to be here? But it gives me a spiritual balance.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's just something about the ceremony and the structure of it, and going every week. It really adds to my life.
Right. And I guess it's predictability, spiritual predictability and structure, positive structure. Can you, what religion is it? I'm assuming Methodist or?
Well, I'm a Lutheran.
Lutheran. Okay. But yeah, I figured it would fall in those categories. I haven't yet spoken to anyone that says, oh, my Catholic church.
Well, I ended up at the church with Rebecca Brusoff. Her father was the pastor there, and she's a well-known trans activist in her teens. And that's what drew me to the church, and it felt like home then.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was Rebecca Brusoff. Interesting how the people that we need to take us down a path suddenly materialize. So that's how you found that church.
Yeah, the teacher will always find you.
I love that. I think that's great. The teacher will always find you. And Javi, tell me about this church that you're affiliated with. I think it's Methodist.
Yes. Yeah. I'm unfortunately not going there anymore. I'm working several other positions, but it is about the spirituality, because unfortunately organized religion has ruined that Bible. And one thing that, the people that I've met at this church, they're scholars, they're geniuses, and they've read that Bible, they've translated from the Hebrew, directly, and give you more of an insight of what it really means. And, I'm a Catholic boy, I was born and raised Catholic, and that's still very much a part of who I am. I still, do the sign of the cross and, do all the same Catholic stuff. Methodist Church was just the one place that allowed me in with being myself.
Right.
And, I would really like to start my own little place, because religion's very important to me.
If you're really you brought up a bunch of things, first of all, as someone that I'm extremely spiritual, was raised Protestant, Jewish, and then my parents became Christian Scientists. And then I went to Africa and learned about other religions. So I'm encompassed many religions, and they're all spiritual, right? But the fact that the Catholicism still stays with you in the light of, you know what, so many Catholic churches judge LGBTQ community. And that's very, very interesting, because you're taking something that was positive for you growing up, and you're saying, I've transitioned, but I have taken what was positive, what made the impression on me, what was warm and fuzzy. Obviously, there's things about it that you love. And
Oh yeah, my
yeah,
family. I mean,
right.
that was every Sunday. I remember, being with my family,
Structure, right?
and then sitting next to my grandma and her being ornery,
Grandma.
giving us gum. We're not supposed to have gum, and just I love being my grandma's favorite, and all my cousins, all 300 and 400 of them, will tell you I'm grandma's favorite. But afterwards, we would either go to the bowling alley and take up pretty much the whole bowling alley, or we'd go to the park in the summer months, warm months, and play baseball. And we always had enough for 2 teams. I mean, my mom was the second oldest of 18 kids. And so there was a lot of us growing up here together. And, that's what church was to me. And then I got to go to, catechism classes to make my CCD classes and whatnot. And
Right.
my teachers were amazing. And they all knew me. I mean, they knew what I was going to be, and I'm still in touch with some of my friends and some of my teachers from then.
So there were no judgments.
Oh, not at all. They were so kind to me. And they never made sexuality or anything a part of what they were teaching us. They taught us the love and everything about that. And that's what I have. I mean, those beautiful things.
I love what I'm hearing. And of course, I'm sitting here wide-eyed, because we all hear of, we all hear of, certainly with the Catholic Church, certainly my friends that are Italian Catholic, whether they're gay or trans, all have a similar narrative about feeling badly. And I love what you're telling us here tonight. I think a lot of it, in your case, you have this incredible family. I mean, 18, that's a lot of people. You know what? You're a country, God damn it. Right?
That's true.
A mess with like 18 people from the same family. Nobody, but you're bringing up something here, Javi, that I think is really important. So many families are small. I have a sister. I have one child. Simone, you have how many siblings?
Okay, well, one that I associate with, 3
Right.
that have excommunicated me.
Right. Right. So a lot of us in general come from these small families. I think and you're the first person I've had on the show that came from a really large family, this large a family. There is something to be said about, brothers and sisters standing by our side, empowering us. And I love what you said about going to Catholic school and how wonderfully you were treated by the teachers. I think many of us, myself included, right, need to open up their minds, certainly to what we're hearing here tonight. Simone, like your church, I always think of like Lutheran or the Methodist churches. They're the ones that we are seeing are bringing people, quote unquote, back to the fold, right? That they're bringing, as I learned from the Methodist Church during our Transgender Day of Remembrance, and this is something that I had no idea about. Pastor Jan is her name, right, Simone?
Yes.
She was saying it doesn't matter what religion somebody is, all are welcomed. Well, I had no idea about that. And I thought, well, that's really great. If I ever felt like going into a house of worship and not be judged and being accepted for Heinz 57 varieties, which I am and which I believe in, that made me feel good. I think, we all have to think about the world in going forward and all of our places in it. And
Well,
what can we do?
my
Yes.
church is becoming a reconciling church now. They're going through the process of it. In fact, they were asked me if I would talk about the transgender community as part of that training.
Right.
And that's what, because so many of my friends are turned off, even if I mention religion. Like I
Yep.
said, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. I go there, and my pastor gets upset at me all the time because in Vernon, it's more like a Nordic, Norwegian architecture in the church and stuff. And I go there and I love the spiritual stuff. And I'm sitting there thinking like, oh, this is like the gates to Valhalla. And she hates it when I say that. But that's the spirituality I get. Yeah, it feels comfortable there.
Right. It feels good. And can you talk a little bit about what reconciling ministries are? I only learned that from our acting executive director, Stephen Bloomer. Teague knows a lot about that. I had never even heard about it till we started doing this show and we started having pastors on.
Well, there's a certain amount of hours and training the church has to do to be considered reconciling. And that they're just starting the process now.
And what does the word reconciling, like if you're going to break it down?
Accepting the ball.
Accepting
It really accepting the LGBTQ community. That's
Wow.
what it really comes down to.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting, Javi, because one of the things you said was about possibly starting your own church. And we had John Jiggin Griffin on the show, who's out of, I think, the San Diego area in California. And it's him and his husband. He has a wonderful son that he adopted. They're a beautiful family. And he did exactly that. And he's extremely powerful. And the situation was not all that different from yours. He just was like, hey, I can do this. And it's very much needed. And it's what he provides for the community. So you have, like, within your community, enough people that you could create your own church?
I think it only takes one, right?
Right. It only takes one. But you could provide the support for all of those people.
Oh, absolutely. I have a lot of friends that are in the LGBTQ plus community that are spiritual.
Right.
And of course there's, like you said, lots that aren't, but a lot that were willing to travel to Cedar Edge to come to church from Grand Junction and other areas because there's nothing that feels like that. There's the Unitarian churches and things like that, but it doesn't give me enough spirituality in it.
Right.
Everybody's different in what they need, and what I need is a little more religious structure in it. One thing we did say about the Methodist Church in Cedar Edge is it is not organized religion because nothing was organized. Something always went wrong.
We can take it any which way.
But I mean, absolutely, they are so welcoming. I remember when we did the Trans Day of Remembrance last year, our pastor Joe, he was so amazing. He ended up moving, but we had a kid come in and he was pagan, and he's like, "I want to know about that. Come and sit with me." And everybody was completely welcome. I mean, we had Mormons, Catholics, Christians, you name it.
Wow.
So, I mean, it really is a beautiful place, and more places just need to be that. There was a story that I heard that I often try to tell people. There was a lady who went to the pastor one day and she says, I just can't come to church anymore. This lady's over here talking this whole time. This baby's crying back here. This man's doing this. This person's doing that. And the pastor says, "Oh, I understand." He says, "Okay, do me a favor. I want you to take this glass of water, and during service, I want you to walk around. Don't drop any of it. Walk around the whole church the whole time." She says, "Okay." So did all that, comes back. He says, "All right. How did you feel? How were the people?" "Well, I don't know. I was paying attention to the glass of water."
Oh, God, brilliant.
And then, okay, well, if you're paying attention to what the word is being spoken, you won't listen to everything that's around you.
Right.
So, it's those little things that, just kind of jab you in the gut a little bit and like, yep. And I do that to myself all the time. If I'm thinking bad thoughts or whatever, it's like, I judge myself so badly. And my wife tells me that, I'm a good person. I don't act on those bad things.
Right.
But, I think that's the Catholic boy in me.
I took the words right out of my mouth. That is, it's like, the devil's on one side, the angels on the other. That is the Catholic. But your story about walking around with a glass of water, it applies to so many things. That is actually a brilliant example. And I took a lesson from that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot of distractions in my life, and many of us, and I'm going to say, especially nowadays, the things that are happening, the news, the politics, and Simone, you'll back me up on this. It can really bury you. It can absolutely bury you and immobilize you. But guess what? If you're walking around with that glass of water, that's the only thing that you can concentrate on. And each and every one of us has our own glass of water that we can walk with.
Well,
So-
we each have a saying like that or thought like that. I had a Tai Chi teacher, and he would always say, "Everyone welcome here. Everyone welcome here." And I always put that in everything that I do. Everyone welcome here.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a little bit of grace.
Not a hard concept.
Right. So, Javi, I know we're working with LGBTQ plus youth. Are you still doing that?
Oh, always. I mean, that ain't gonna stop. And I actually just started working at a place called Access Health System, mental health. I'm a peer specialist. So, one of the things that we did today was talking about the homeless youth. And so I don't know if you know, but they allotted, I think, 84 million for homeless youth through HUD.
I had heard, and Simone's our statistics person. She knows it. I had heard, I thought it was like 60 something thousand.
Well, it all depends on where you're at.
Right.
I mean, allotted for the whole country, I believe it was 84.
Okay.
Colorado got close to 3 million. So it's just, those types of things are extremely important to me. I mean, like I said, I've got, a kid on my couch right now, and I'm okay with that. But I would like to be able to offer a space for them. And for me, youth is pretty much anybody under 25.
Right.
And right now, I'm able to use, unfortunately, the things that happen in Colorado Springs to my company and say, this is what's very real, and these are the people who are in danger here.
That's exactly right.
And so being a part of teams like that is absolutely amazing. And then, Delta Pride having our own 501c3 and, getting to know these grants. I mean, we really want to get a place where, kids and adults, I mean, there's, transgender people who are homeless, they have surgeries, and they have no place to go to recover. So there's little things like that.
So God awful. I mean, the surgery is intense, and then the follow-up is equally as important as the surgery. And then they have nowhere to go afterwards.
Right. So, that's what we're trying to do, is find, safety in places and, just make safe spaces and just bring us to light, because we're not going anywhere, and, we're somebody's kid, and, we pay same taxes and breathe the same air here. And,
Thank you for saying we're somebody's kid. People forget that all too often. I'm in New York City. Sylvia's place, Trinity, they all provide services for homeless youth. The amount of homeless youth is incredible, and that shouldn't be. And we should have facilities, good facilities for all of these kids. But I think for me, that's why I asked you if you're still working with LGBTQ kids. In our area, we've had a little of the homelessness with the kids, but for the most part, even the most God-fearing, Bible-hitting parents have really come around. And I'm talking about the kids that would have come through Triversity. Now, maybe the relationship wasn't the best, but the kids still had a roof over their head. And a lot of those kids from our organization, my God, so many of them have finished college already. So interesting to me that they go on for social work, of course, because they're all paying it forward, right? Yes. But when you think of other places, the sheer amount of kids that are homeless, that's somebody's child. That's just unthinkable to me. Absolutely unthinkable to me.
And LGBTQ plus youth are more at risk because their parents don't agree with who they are. And that's a life-saving thing, is to be homeless. They'd rather be homeless than to be dead in their home.
Right. Right. Or to be afraid in your own home. Or, it's hard enough being born biologically one way and you know that you're not that way, and then it's underlined by a parent telling you, oh no, you know you are that way. This'll go away. This'll pass. Simone,
Yeah.
there was an incredible movie at the Black Bear Film Festival that they showed. It's called Mama Bear. And Javi, if you can get it, I don't
Okay.
know if you're familiar with the film,
No, I
but
just know the name.
you know what I got to tell you? Unreal. And why didn't thousands of us know about this film before I saw it there? And, you know, I've talked with a lot of my people in the community. No, a lot of people didn't even hear about it. All right. It completely blew me away. And why I love that film so much, it showed this child who was a total and complete female every step of the way. And she could articulate it, everything about it, and why she was female. But the mother ultimately, you know, was faced with, mother was 100% supportive. What do we do about play dates? Like if the kid is outed at a play date, the whole bathroom situation that we're constantly hearing about, people need to think more about those things. And ultimately the mother ended up having to move to San Antonio because it's, Austin, because it's, of course, highly educated and a supportive environment. But, you know, uprooting your job, pulling your kid out of school, moving away from family. These are the things people don't realize is happening, and it's happening right now. And for me, it culminated with the incident at Club Q. It really did. A hater that obviously came from a home where there was no empathy and heard how awful all of this was, and he was going to get a gun and just take care of it. This, I don't even know what the story was with him. I have been looking and I can't even, you know what, it's really scary when you can't find the details, because you want the person, you want to know that they were mentally unstable, because at least you can say to yourself, oh, that's why that happened. I need to have that. I don't even have that. I'm like to the point now where, you know, I'm thinking these are people that just freaking snap. They're like maybe somewhat normal. Yeah, they have horrible prejudices, but there's a fine line between horrible prejudices and going into a club like Club Q and shooting it up. And he would have probably killed everybody if that amazing hero hadn't jumped on him.
Yeah.
You know?
And we'd like to give that hero the Dragon Dad Award, which is equivalent to the Mama Bear.
I love it.
From all the Van Dykes around us and from Delta Pride. We would just like to honor him with a Dragon Dad Award.
I love it. So we're down. My God, this time goes so quick for me because I could go another 50 minutes. It's hard for me. Where can we learn more about Delta Pride?
You could go to deltacopride.com.
DeltaCoPride.com.
Yeah, if you go to Delta Pride, you'll get a fish place in Canada. But don't forget the CO for Colorado.
Delta CO Pride. Juan, if you're listening, can you put that up on the screen? Because I think that's really important. Okay. And we can learn more about what you're doing, your programs and things like that.
Yeah, right now we're doing holiday family sponsorships. Trying to take care of families in the area. So that's what we're up to right now.
Okay. And I was given instruction I have to type it. My God. Now they make me walk to Delta CO Pride.
There you go.
.com. I hope I did this right.
Don't worry, Javi's got it. It's complete. Javi's got it.
Okay. And you can find us on social media, Delta CO Pride. You can find me or any of the Van Dykes on social media. Reach out to us. We're many. We're here to help. We just want to support people and show them they're not alone, and make sure more of us survive and live to a rightful age.
As everybody should. It's a human right. And you know what? For you, tell me, did it all start with that sit-in to observe Martin Luther King Day?
It must have, because that day I just couldn't have it. I mean, just because I wasn't dark enough in their eyes, we had school that day. And he stood up for all minorities. And as far as I'm concerned, unless you're a white cis male, you're a minority.
Yes.
Right. Oh my God. Truer words have never been spoken. I want to thank you both for being here. And as far as We're Here goes, when can people tune in to see that? Because it's running now, right?
It's on Friday nights at 9 o'clock on HBO Max, and the Sussex County one for where I live, it will be December 30th. And we're doing a watch party on January 6th.
Awesome.
Yeah. And it would be so great, Javi, if you could come. I know you can. You'll be snowbound by then.
Hey, send me a plane ticket. I'll go.
We're a low budget operation.
Ooh, let's start a fundraiser. Send Javi to New York.
I really wish we could, because that would be really great, to have a lot of the cast and someone like yourself to be there. So I wish everybody a wonderful evening. Thank you both for being here. And for both of you, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. It's especially now more than ever. Okay. Thank you for being here. Good night, everybody. And we will see you next week. Good night.
Good night.